Hey guys, Addie here. I am going to share 5 easy fall dinners with you. I just got home from school pickup and am about to finish up our dinner tonight. It is like a chicken rice soup, super easy and super good. So stay tuned and I'll share this week's meals. So as I mentioned, this is like a chicken rice soup, and in here I sauteed some vegetables together with some chicken, rice, and chicken broth. And now that it has pressure cooked for 5 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and add this little roux that I had going on the stove. This is just flour and butter, and I'm gonna add that in here to kind of cream it up a little bit. Okay, so I added that in there. I'm just giving it a little stir, and then I had a bay leaf in there for seasoning, so I'm gonna make sure I get that out before we serve it. But this is dinner number 1. Super, super easy. Prep is literally 5 minutes. The pressure cook time is 5 minutes, and you can make the roux on the stove while that's going. So seriously, so quick. Day number 2. And we are making a very simple Mississippi pot roast. So I have a 3-pound chuck roast in there, and I am going to add a ranch dip packet. You can get that, you know, pre-made at the grocery store, and also an au jus gravy mix packet. We're gonna add that on top there. I'm going to dump in a jar of pepperoncinis. I did drain it, but obviously you can see there's still a little bit of juice in there. I'm not gonna worry about it. I leave them whole and don't cut them up because then it's easy for my kids to pick them out because they don't necessarily like pepperoncinis, but it adds so much flavor to these. So Dan and I like to eat them with the mix, but the kids like to pick them out. Then I'm also going to add in 8 tablespoons of butter, so a stick of butter, and I just chopped it up a little bit. And then because I'm doing this in the Instant Pot rather than the slow cooker, I am also going to add a little bit of beef broth. Well, this is chicken broth because it's what I had in the fridge, but you can add beef broth if you want it to be more, you know, correct. And that's it. We are going to pressure cook this for 20 minutes per pound. So I'm gonna do 60 minutes and then you have it. You could also do this crock pot and that would be low for 8 hours instead. The meat just finished up, so I am going to shred that and then throw some potatoes in. I added the trivet or whatever that is into there so the potatoes don't have to sit in the liquid, and I'm just gonna do that really quick. Typically I would add like a vegetable too, carrots or something, but we are out, so I'm just gonna do a frozen bag of vegetables for dinner tonight to go with this. Easy meal number 2. I love the Mississippi take on a regular pot roast. It's just so flavorful and something different. Dinner day 3, a quick and easy sheet pan meal. Here I have Brussels sprouts that I just have oil, salt, pepper, onions, and butternut squash. I'm gonna use some of this for dinner tonight and then save some of it for a fall salad later this week. And now I am gonna prep the chicken. I'm just gonna do a simple honey mustard chicken. So I'm just gonna salt and pepper them real quick. And then I'm gonna add equal parts honey, equal parts mustard, and I'm also gonna put some garlic on there. I'm gonna transfer them, once I get them salt and pepper, I'm gonna transfer them to like this little bag so that I can coat them all really well, throw them on the sheet pan, and get them in the oven. Most recipes call for chicken breasts, but I honestly prefer thighs for things like this because I just find that chicken breast kind of dries out a little bit more, and my kids are definitely more prone to eat something with a little less, I guess, dryness. I don't know. I'm adding a bit more salt and pepper since I only did one side in the when it was in the container. So I'm adding a bit more of that there as well as garlic. And then I'm gonna do, like I said, equal parts honey to equal parts mustard. And I am just eyeballing this. It's a marinade, so I don't think it's really possible to do too much. I'm just eyeballing it, giving it both big squirts. I like marinating in these bags rather than in a bowl because I just think it coats the meat better and you can kind of massage it. You could leave this in the fridge if you wanted, but I am ready to use it now, so I'm gonna head and just do it now. I have the oven preheated to 400 and I'm gonna go ahead and put those in for 30 to 40 minutes. Everything just came out of the oven and it's all good. I'm just gonna drizzle some balsamic glaze on these Brussels sprouts. I think doing it after they cook makes the flavor better. So just gonna do that. And there we are. Day 4, and tonight we are having a fall salad and some tortellini with red sauce. This obviously super easy and fast. I just did a roasted garlic sauce pre-made from the grocery store, and these take like a couple minutes to boil and be done. So the star of the show tonight is a fall salad. It is my go-to salad. If I am going to a potluck, I bring this salad. If I'm doing a meal train, I bring this salad. If I am craving a salad, this is the one that I make 9 out of 10 times. It is so good. And so that is the star of the show. We're not having it with any meat because we are doing meatless today, but it goes really well if you want to add like grilled chicken or grilled steak or something like that. You could do that as your meal instead of the pasta. But yeah, here's how the salad goes. In here, I already have olive oil, salt, and pepper, but to that, I'm gonna go ahead and add a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. I'm also gonna do a tablespoon of maple syrup, slightly over there. And then I'm gonna do 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. This really sets it off. And then to finish it up, I'm just gonna add in a clove of garlic. Then I do it in this kind of jar because then I can just close it up and give it a good shake. Rather than having to like whisk it or mix it anytime it like separates, I can just shake it really well. Definitely like this method for dressing in general. Then over here, I've got my kale. This kale is about 1 big bunch, which is about 10 cups. To that, remember that butternut squash I roasted yesterday? I'm gonna go ahead and add, not yet. First, I'm gonna put some of my dressing on the kale. About 3/4 of it I'm gonna put on there. Leave a little bit. And I'm actually going to kind of just massage that in. I think doing this before just really helps the dressing flavor really blend very well. So I do like to do that step, but you could wait and just do the dressing all at one time if you want. Now I'm gonna add that butternut squash. This ended up being about a pound, and I would say you could use 1 pound to 1.5 pounds. And if you don't want to use butternut squash, you could alternatively use sweet potato. I really like this with sweet potato as well. They do make sweet potato and butternut squash as a frozen vegetable option at the grocery store, so you could do that instead of baking your own if you wanted. I also diced an apple. If you are not serving this like immediately, you could soak the apples in salt to make sure that they don't brown, or you could sprinkle them with some lemon juice if you want. I also have a 1/2 cup of cranberries here, dried cranberries that I'm adding, and then a 1/2 cup of roasted pecans. That step, the roasting, is optional, but I do think it brings out the flavor a little bit more. And then about 2 ounces of feta cheese. You could also use goat here. Once you have all of the ingredients on top, it's already really looking pretty. I will go ahead and add the rest of the dressing. Then I'm gonna go ahead and just use some forks here to give it a good toss. And like I said, you can prep this in advance, but if you do that, make sure that you don't put all the dressing on right away, otherwise it might get a little soggy. Okay, day 5, I think we're doing beef stroganoff. So the recipe calls for 1 pound of ground beef. If you've been around my channel, you know that I preach like, if you have a dinner that everybody really loves, make double the batch, and then you can eat some now and eat some later, like freeze some for later. We don't have enough mushrooms to do that, but I'm still going ahead and cooking 2 pounds of ground beef instead of 1 that the recipe calls for, because how many recipes do you know that call for browned ground beef, like in something, chili for example? So I'm gonna go ahead, this recipe wants a pound of ground beef and an onion. I'm gonna go ahead and do the 2 pounds of ground beef and 2 onions. I'm gonna then put half of this ground beef in a bag to put in the freezer once it cools, and then I'm gonna use the other half for tonight's dinner. So just a little thing we do here. I hope that helps you because it saves me a lot of time, like in the future when I need really quick meals that I can pull from the freezer. I do the same thing with my onions too. If I need to pull this thing out to dice some onions, I'm gonna go ahead and just dice the whole 5-pound bag. Onions freeze really well, diced onions, and how often do you need those for recipes? And often you need them multiple times a week, so the ones you don't wanna freeze that you just need to use in a couple days, you can keep in your fridge that are, again, just ready, right to go. Skipped a few steps because I thought I was filming and I wasn't, but I had my ground beef and onion mix. I added some garlic and mushrooms, let that cook about 5 minutes. Added 2 tablespoons of flour, stirred that around, make sure there was no lumps in that flour because otherwise you'll get a chunk of flour in your dinner and that will not taste good. I then poured in a cup of beef broth. To that I am adding the heavy whipping cream here. And then I'm also going to add about a 1/3 cup of sour cream. And then also a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I can't say that fast, so don't make fun of my pronunciation there. And then also to top it off, I'm just going to end with a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, just for some flavor. And then you're gonna let this simmer and it will be done. Now most people serve this over egg noodles. We actually are not a big pasta family in this house. We're gonna serve it over rice, and alternatively you could serve it over potatoes. So any of those options, whichever one your family likes the most. This is so good for a cozy fall day. It's such a comfort meal, nice and creamy. And that is this week's meals. Let me know in the comments if you want more video ideas like this.